Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
It is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026.
Today, Silicon Valley claims only 40 people on Earth can actually build AI, while physicists admit machines are doing 90% of their work. Plus, Tesla's RoboVan threatens public transit, and open source music just killed the cloud.
It really does sound like a script for a dystopian movie, but I guess it's just the newsfeed.
We have a massive stack today. And the theme, it really feels like it's concentration versus democratization.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You've got this centralization of genius in the hands of a few wizards, but then you have this absolute explosion of tools that let anyone with a gaming PC create, I don't know, a hit song.
That is the tension, exactly. We're seeing this this bottleneck at the very, very top, the people building the brains,
Right.
And then a total flood at the bottom, the people using the brains, and stuck right in the middle.
A lot of jobs.
A lot of traditional jobs,
Yep.
from bus drivers to junior developers, all looking for the exit.
So let's start at the top of that pyramid, the lead. We have to talk about this viral clip from Ben Horowitz over at A16's.
Ah, the high priest's argument, yes.
He was on Invest Like the Best, and he made this claim about the labor market that it feels almost impossible to believe.
Well, he says it.
He says that right now, in 2026, there are only about 40 people,
40?
in the entire world who can effectively architect the next generation of top-tier AI models. And he's using this to justify these, billion-dollar acquisition costs for talent.
It is a staggering number. I mean, you think about it, 8 billion people and only 40 matter.
Right.
But you have to look at the language he uses. He calls it alchemistic.
He does.
He says it's an art form, not a science. He claims you can't even learn this in school because the textbooks haven't been written.
But alchemy is such a loaded word, though. I mean, it implies magic.
It does.
It implies mixing, I don't know, eye of newt and toe of frog until you get gold. Is that really where we are with computer science?
In a way, yes. And that's actually the scary part. When Horowitz says alchemy, what he means is that we don't fully understand why these massive neural networks do what they do.
It's a black box.
It's totally empirical. You tweak a weight here, you change a parameter there, and suddenly the model gets smarter. Or it breaks completely. The people who have the intuition for those tweaks, they are the 40 wizards.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't this just a VC talking his book?
Well, of course there's an element of that.
If you convince the world that talent is that scarce, you inflate the value of the companies you've invested in. It feels like artificial scarcity.
Oh, there is absolutely a marketing element to it. It's the great man theory applied to code.
Yeah.
If it's just engineering, process, documentation, reproducibility, then anyone can do it and the price goes down.
But if it's magic?
If it's magic, the price goes way, way up. But even if he's exaggerating, the countersignal we're seeing from the scientific community suggests that the magic part is real and it's becoming a problem.
You're talking about that report from the Institute for Advanced Study.
Exactly. This was flagged by @Vitrupo. It's coming out of a closed-door meeting with top physicists, including David Kipping.
And what do they say?
They admitted, privately of course, that AI is now handling 90% of their routine work.
90%. So the coding, the data analysis.
All the grunt work. Yeah.
Which on the surface, that sounds great for efficiency, right? If the machine does the boring stuff, the physicist gets to do the big thinking.
That is the optimistic take, but Kipping's warning was different. He's worried that the discovery process itself is pushing beyond human understanding.
What does that even mean?
It means if the AI is doing 90% of the work and the result comes out of a black box that only those 40 alchemists understand, are we actually doing science anymore?
So we're just getting the answers without seeing the derivation?
Exactly. Science used to be about showing your work. If an AI spits out a new law of physics, but no human can follow the logic path it took to get there, have we learned something?
Or have we just built an oracle?
We've just built an oracle. It's the outsourcing of the eureka moment.
Wow.
And that leads to a really dangerous concentration of power. If truth comes from a black box owned by a corporation and only 40 people know how the box works,
The rest of us are just taking their word for it?
we are.
That is a very sobering thought. We're moving from the lab to the temple. But, okay, while the scientists are struggling with philosophy, the transport industry is dealing with something much more tangible.
Right. The battle for physical infrastructure.
Let's move to the hard news. Tesla is all over the feed today. We've got this clip from Ashok Elaswamy. He's the VP of AI at Tesla, and it was shared by Sawyer Merritt.
Ah, yes.
He's basically taking a victory lap on the whole sensor debate.
The old LiDAR versus cameras war.
For anyone listening who isn't deep in the autonomous driving specs, LiDAR is that laser spinning thing you see on top of Waymo cars. It maps the world in 3D.
And Musk has always said it's a crutch.
And Eliswamy is pretty much saying, we told you so. His argument is that it's 2026. If you have enough data, and Tesla has billions of tokens of visual data, you don't need lasers.
You just need a brain smart enough to understand what the cameras see.
He's calling it an AI problem, not a sensor problem. And to prove it, Tesla is rolling out the Robovan.
The steering wheel-free van, I saw this.
It sits 20 people. And the pitch from analysts, people like Mario Nawfal, is that this is going to kill traditional public transit.
Of course.
They're looking at cities like Madison, Wisconsin that are struggling with bus budget shortfalls. And they're saying, why run a big empty bus on a fixed route when you can just have a swarm of Robovans?
It's the logic of Uberification applied to mass transit. And on paper, sure, it sounds efficient, but there is a massive equity issue here.
How so?
Public transit is a public service. It runs on routes that aren't profitable because people still need to get to work. A private fleet of Robovans, it only goes where the money is.
So you think we'll see transit deserts where the Robovans just, refuse to go?
I think if you dismantle public infrastructure because the tech solution seems cheaper, you lose control over who gets to move around your own city. But speaking of that, we have to look at the competition.
Right.
Because while Tesla is celebrating, Xiaomi is struggling.
Oh, this was the video from at Nitras Patain, the Xiaomi Hadi system. They're hyper-autonomous driving.
It is painful to watch. The car is trying to navigate road construction in China. It's hesitating. It's getting confused by traffic cones.
And the driver has to keep grabbing the wheel.
Constantly. But the screen, the UI, it looks exactly like a Tesla's, doesn't it?
It's a perfect copy.
And that's the key. You can copy the user interface. You can make the screen look futuristic. You absolutely cannot copy the brain.
The data.
Tesla has a decade of driving data. All the edge cases, all the weird stuff that happens on the road. Xiaomi doesn't. It just proves that intelligence isn't a commodity yet. You can't just buy self-driving level 4 off the shelf.
So Tesla owns the roads, and now the boring company is trying to own what's under the roads. Did you see the Dubai Loop announcement?
From the World Government Summit, yeah. A partnership to build a, 24-kilometer tunnel network in Dubai?
The stats are just wild. They claim they can cut a 20-minute trip across the city down to 3 minutes. And because of their new boring machines, the tunneling costs are down 44%.
Look, the engineering is impressive. I'll give them that. But I have to be the wet blanket on the math here.
You don't buy the 3 minutes claim?
Ooh, I buy the speed. I don't buy the scale. They want to move people in individual pods through these tunnels.
Right.
It's a geometry problem. A subway train can move, 1,000 people every few minutes? A tunnel full of pods can maybe move a few thousand people an hour.
But if you're a wealthy executive in Dubai, you don't want to be on a subway. You want your own pod.
Exactly. It is not a solution for traffic. It is a premium bypass for the rich. It's an amusement park ride that just happens to get you to work. It solves nothing for the millions on the surface.
It's just amazing how efficiency so often just means efficiency for the people who can pay for it.
It always has.
All right, let's go a little deeper into the stack. We've talked about the alchemists and the infrastructure. Now we need to talk about the people actually writing the code that runs all this stuff. Because there's a technical shift happening that is keeping a lot of engineers awake at night.
The agentic shift.
Yeah, we saw a really interesting signal from Daniel Sand that's at Deniavila 7. He's basically declaring the death of RAG.
We should probably define that. RAG is Retrieval Augmented Generation. For the last couple of years, that's been the standard way to make an AI smart about your specific data.
Okay.
You take your company handbook, you chop it into paragraphs, you put it in a database. When you ask a question, the AI looks up the relevant paragraph and summarizes it.
So it's like a librarian looking up a card in the card catalog.
Precisely. But Daniel is saying that's now obsolete. He's pushing for agentic search.
And what's that?
Instead of the librarian looking up a card, you give the AI a tool like grep or glob, which are just search commands, and you let the AI rummage through the actual files itself.
So it's not relying on a pre-made index. It's actively hunting for the information.
Yes. It treats the code as a dynamic environment. I mean, when a human developer joins a team, they don't read a summary of the code, right?
No, they open the files, they search.
They trace the logic. Giving the AI that same agency, that ability to use tools to explore, makes it infinitely more capable.
And the big players are leaning into this hard. OpenAI just updated Xcode.
The software for building iPhone apps? Yeah.
Codex in Xcode 26.3. It's not just autocomplete anymore. They're calling it autonomous tasks.
Right.
You can tell it, update the settings screen to match the new design. And it just goes and does it. Finds the files, writes the code, shows you a preview.
And then you have Google DeepMind. The team called it Antigravity, doing the same thing for internationalization.
Which is the most tedious job in software.
It's the ultimate grunt work killer. Internationalization is so boring. You have to go through every line of code, find the English text, rip it out, put it in a file, replace it with a variable. Google's new tool does all of it automatically.
So, here's my question then. If the AI is doing all the grunt work, the translation, the bug fixing, the documentation searches, what happens to the junior developer?
The junior dev role is effectively extinct. And this is a massive, massive structural problem. You don't become a senior engineer by magic.
No, you learn by doing.
You become one by doing the grunt work for 3 years. That's how you learn the system. If we automate the bottom rung of the ladder, how does anyone even climb up?
We're kicking away the ladder. We might have a generation of senior engineers right now, but who replaces them in 10 years?
Nobody. Or just the alchemists. It just reinforces that concentration of power we talked about at the top of the show.
Well, if you think the coders are in trouble, wait until you hear about the musicians.
Oh, boy.
Because the creatives are getting hit by a wave that is arguably even bigger, and it's all coming from the open source community.
This is the Napster moment for generative AI. I've been saying this was coming.
What's here? So, at ComfyUI and at Mark, just dropped EC Step 1.5.
Which is a music generation model.
Right. But the details here are what really matter.
Yeah.
Usually, if you want to make an AI song, you go to a website, right? Suno, Udio.
Yeah.
You pay a monthly fee. They own the servers.
And they can censor you. It's a walled garden.
AC Step is totally different. It runs on your local computer, and not a supercomputer, a regular gaming PC with a decent graphics card.
Okay.
It generates a full song lyrics, vocals, everything in under 10 seconds.
And because it's local, there are no guardrails, no copyright filters, no censorship, and crucially, no cost per song.
Mark K says the quality is already beating the commercial stuff. I've heard some demos, and the coherence it's frighteningly good.
This is infinite supply. I've started calling this the era of infinite slop.
That feels a little harsh.
Well, think about the economics. Value comes from scarcity. When it took a band weeks to write and record a song, that song had inherent value.
Sure.
When you can generate 500 catchy pop songs in an hour for $0, the marginal value of any given song just drops to zero. It becomes disposable. It becomes slop.
And it's not just audio. Look at the visuals. We've got at Higgsfield launching Vibe-Motion. You can program motion now. You're not animating frame by frame. You're just directing the AI in real time.
And then at the World Labs with Marble, generating a persistent 3D world, like a video game level, and flying through it for 60 seconds.
And then you tie it all together with, at OpenBMB's MiniCPM-o 4.5, it's an omnimodal model. It can see, listen, and speak all at the same time.
So you can have a conversation with your computer while it builds a 3D world for you and composes a custom soundtrack for it, all running on your desk, completely offline.
It sounds like the ultimate escapism machine. It's Ready Player One, but you build the oasis yourself.
But if everyone builds their own oasis, do we have a shared culture anymore? If I'm watching my AI-generated movie and you're listening to your AI-generated Beatles album that never existed, we're not connecting.
We're just hallucinating in parallel.
Exactly. It's a lonely thought.
What's the only thing left of value in that world?
Curation. Taste. When there is infinite noise, the person who can point and say, no, listen, this one thing is actually good, that person becomes the most valuable person in the room.
Which I suppose is what we're trying to do here.
We're the curators of the apocalypse. It's a niche, but hey, it's ours.
Okay, let's try to synthesize all this.
Yeah.
We have the alchemists hoarding the secrets of the big models. We have the physical world being automated by private fleets. Junior devs are losing their ladder. And open source is giving everyone godlike creative powers. Where does this go next?
Okay, my prediction connects the lead to the closer. Ben Horowitz says there are only 40 wizards.
Right.
Right now they work for big tech because they need the massive compute clusters. They need the cloud to do their work.
But we just saw that these tools are getting so efficient they can run on local hardware.
Exactly. I predict a massive brain drain. Those 40 alchemists, they are not going to stay employees for long. They're going to realize they don't need Google's cloud anymore. They can take these efficient open source architectures and build their own sovereign AI states.
So the wizards leave the tower.
They leave the tower, they form their own guilds, and they completely destroy the profit margins of the big cloud providers. The cloud just becomes a dumb utility, like electricity, and all the value moves to the decentralized edges.
A decentralized future built by a handful of rogue wizards. I don't know if that's comforting or if it's terrifying.
It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But it definitely won't be boring.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive. We read the feed so you can keep your eyes on the road, assuming your car even lets you.
Keep your GPU fans clean. You're going to need them.
See you on the stream.